Hey, it's me, Jake, and we're back here with another episode of Before You Buy, that show where we give you some straight-up gameplay and how we're feeling on the latest games releasing. Well, today, we're talking about Metal Gear Survive. Okay, first and foremost, let me address the elephant in the room. Konami gets a lot of flack for the untimely departure of the Metal Gear Solid series creator, and their just choice to continue using the Metal Gear brand without its brainchild simply for cynical profits. That's kind of what this game is. As a lifelong Metal Gear Solid fan, as you guys probably know, the game does already leave a bit of a bad taste in my mouth. I don't really want to support it. I just want you guys to know that, because I am going to try and put that aside and just do my job and take a look at the game and tell you about it. And really, it's fine. Some Metal Gear fans won't want to hear this, but it's not a disaster by any means. It's competent, has some fun moments. It's just a bit lifeless and sometimes tedious. Now, what it really is a somewhat story-based survival sandbox game. You're a random mercenary from the boss's mother base, and following the attack from XOF at the end of Ground Zeroes, you get swept up in a whole new story involving wormholes and a hell-like alternate dimension. It's purposely convoluted and obtuse, seemingly trying to replicate a Metal Gear game style with tons of talking and exposition, almost to an insulting degree, but I don't need to go there. It sets up a few mysteries and questions and sets you on your way. Whether or not you'll be engaged enough to care, I'm not so sure. There's lots of long, tedious dialogue stuff that just doesn't flow as well as Metal Gear's does, just from an interface perspective and a voice acting perspective. But I was surprised just in general how single player and story focused the game actually is. So if you are looking for that, for stuff to play through, I guess that's a plus. But what you're actually doing, really, is surviving. It's up to you to build up a small base of survivors by venturing out into the dangerous territory infested with these zombie-like wanderers, and little by little, you venture out to just gather more resources and make better stuff and slowly fortify your base, while also leveling up and making your character stronger. And like many survival games, it starts long and complicated and challenging, and gets a little better the more you put into it. The more time you put into it, the better it kind of gets. It took me a while, but once I got used to the difficult and sometimes oppressive flow of Metal Gear Survive, it gets better, and I even had a few bits of fun here and there. Like most survival games, I kind of hate them at first, and this one especially. You have to manage hunger, thirst, injuries, and sometimes even oxygen, and it can get pretty depressing pretty fast. Your hunger decreases insanely fast, and actually food resources at the start of the game are extremely few and far between until you can start building farms. Food and animals to hunt are so scarce on the map that it's challenging, but almost borderline a balancing problem sometimes. Most survival games, hunger and thirst is one of the many things to manage, and here it's just like a full-time job at all times. It almost feels like it's designed just to keep you busy, to always give you one extra thing to do before you actually go to do your mission or objective. There's a lot to make the game feel tedious here, and this feels like it's fighting with you. Your character is slow and tires real easily, and it doesn't help that the map looks boring and is often really empty. But like I said, it does get better after a few hours. And the same goes for your character, who, he starts extremely weak and can die after 2 or 3 hits, but eventually with better gear and leveling up, you can be a stronger offensive character, and you can even do melee combos and stuff. And that's what these types of games are. It's the thrill of the grind. Even though it's story-based, most of the missions are repetitive and you're doing most of the same stuff. It does get exciting the most, though, when you venture out into the dust, where it's really low visibility, and you have to manage oxygen, and you can very easily get lost thanks to a semi-useless map, because your compass gets all fizzled. Here's where you'll find the good stuff and some of the resources you need to spend. It also kind of reminds me of the Dark Zone stuff from The Division, like, gearing up and preparing and venturing into the harder, scary area for better stuff. And it does make venturing out just feel more satisfying. Not to mention you're dodging zombies and giant Cthulhu monster things. I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea. It's also kind of funny, though, when you come across rehashed areas from Metal Gear Solid 5, most notably the early Afghanistan stuff, where it looks the same, but just crappier. Not like post-apocalyptic crappier, just honestly visually crappier. I guess you could say the same about the rest of the game's visual style and character design. The side characters you rescue look rough as hell and, unfinished. But the stealth is simple, but it does control like Metal Gear Solid 5's did, and for that, it can be pretty usable and fun. Metal Gear Solid 5 had really, really rock-solid gameplay, and what they do take from it here works really well and is fun to control. But what didn't work for me so well, though, was the emphasis on melee combat. It basically expanded upon Metal Gear Solid 5's and built on it, but it just doesn't work well with the rest of the movement and aiming systems, and just mostly feels clunky and unfun. Unlocking the dodge skill does help with things, but it still feels like prioritizing melee in a game not really built for it. The bow and arrow and long spear are fine, but comboing with a hammer or a machete just felt awkward and stilted and slow, and the hit feedback just doesn't feel as satisfying. The spear works particularly well in situations though where you build, because you can poke zombies through the fence like Walking Dead style. That's the game's interesting hook here, building up your base and fortifying areas with fences and stuff to defend all these waves of zombies. Your home base stuff is mostly just simplistic stuff that usually just adds up to allowing you to craft more stuff, but it gets the job done. The actual fort defense gameplay is fun and really challenging, and it feels like Fortnite PvE. But it all really boils down to sitting in menus and managing inventories and picking stuff up. The game is a lot of staring at menus and moving stuff around, so if you're not into that, there's a lot of it here, and some of it feels needlessly obtuse and cumbersome. I'm coming off of Metal Gear Solid 5 where most of the stuff was easily swapped and moved around on the fly. Switching ammo types and doing various things here just feels like a pain in the ass all the time. The bright side is crafting new things to add onto your clothing items to help you out is cool, but still, spamming the item pickup button was all I felt like I was doing sometimes. You're just running around picking up all these things. At least you get the satisfying Metal Gear sound, but you'll feel like you're picking up so much stuff when you can't actually craft much at all, leading to a lot of loot and resource gathering to just feel a bit unsatisfying. Now, it's fun getting into places and shooting zombies and with good loot and opening stuff up with a cool lock mechanic, but a lot of the actual stuff doesn't matter as much. And there are microtransactions, so be aware. On my end, on PS4, it didn't look like they were live yet, and they don't seem to be in your face or integrated into the main economy, but it looks like you can buy currency to help you out, as well as some questionableness with the use of currency to unlock extra save slots. Now, that's dependent on different types of players, but that doesn't feel so good to me. And as for the PC version, I can't speak to it yet because it's dropping a few days later. I only got to play the PS4 version. The game also isn't as multiplayer focused as I thought it would be. There are multiplayer modes that work like Fort Defense Wave stuff, and you can bring a few things back, like not all types, back to your single player campaign. I thought there was going to be a bit more going on. It's not bad, it's competent, and honestly, sometimes when you're just building up fences and defending your spots with friends and just stabbing zombies, it can be kind of fun. It's a competent mode, I just didn't really know what I was expecting. And that goes for the whole game, really. You'll notice for every good or fun thing, I also had something annoying to point out. The starting tutorial areas are rough and really may turn you off, but it makes way for a competent game that is somewhat fun to play with a story that you won't care much about. Look, I won't deny, I totally had fun in some spots, I gotta tell the truth. Some of the gameplay hooks are a little addictive, and building and defending stuff is fun, but it's also all very bland, not memorable, and often really tedious. But that's a before you buy, guys. You know how this works. I give you some pros, some cons, and some personal opinion thrown in, and now I definitely want to hear yours down in the comments below. I know what most of you are going to say, probably hashtag fuck Konami, something like that. And that's totally warranted and justified, but if you did go into the game with an open mind, or maybe you're a casual Metal Gear fan and you don't care about the story or the character, I don't know if I couldn't even finish that sentence. I'm sorry, I'm a Metal Gear snob, but I do want to know what you guys are thinking about this game. And if you're not down with actually trying it out, or if you didn't play the beta, if you got any questions for me, hit me up on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Jake Baldino. You know, you can also hang out in our Discord as well. But you guys know the deal by now. Clicking the like button does help us out, and we really appreciate it over here. It lets us do more of these before you buys. And not only that, if you haven't subscribed yet, you should, because you're joining an army 4 million strong, and we put out videos every single day. But as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.